Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We are continuing with our study of the Book of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. May Allah bless us with good health. Inshallah, Allah bless us with good health. Like to continue on with in Ramadan also, inshallah. Let's start off with the intentions for seeking knowledge and teaching. I intend to seek knowledge and to teach, to benefit myself and to benefit others, to remind myself and to remind others, to profit myself and to profit others, to urge adherence to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to invite to guidance and to guide to that which is good, seeking the face of Allah, His pleasure, His closeness, and His reward, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll continue on with our Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم نور بالقرآن بصري واشرح به صدري وأطلق به لساني واستعمل به بدني وقوي به جناني وأسرع به فهمي بحولك وقوتك فإنه لا حول ولا قوة إلا بك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بفضل سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa halul uqdata min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah, we continue with Surah Al-Ahqaf. In the last lesson, we just had an introduction and also some of the benefits of reciting this surah. We continue now to the words that we have. I'm sorry if you all have not got your books. Inshallah, you should be getting it by Monday or Tuesday. Asarah. Athar means trace or footsteps. And we have this word actually in Yasin, Surah Yasin. This is, we can see it's an ism and it is jar state. Because why is jar state? We look at the sentence in the verse in itself. All right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamim. So it starts off with Hamim. Ha mim. And the ha, you must always remember the ha comes from the place where the ain comes from. That means the middle of the throat. Ha, ain, same place. Ha, mim. All right, so that's ha, mim. Ha, mim. This is the last of 7 surahs beginning with the surah with the huruf muqatta'at. Ha, mim. Muqatta'at means cut off letters. So we pronounce them as letters and not with harakats. Ha, mim. So we call them the Hawamims because they are made up of Ha and Mim. As the surah opens, it touches on the link between the letters of the Arabic language they speak and the Quran, a book composed of the same letters, but unlike anything people say or write. All right, so this is one of the opinions, of highlighting Ha Mim. Of some scholars have said that it is, it just reminds people that the Quran is made up of letters and letters form words, and the Quran is an amazing piece of literature which none can compete. And of course, some have said that the fact that Rasulullah SAW can verbalize letters, right, it shows that it is divine, because as people who speak a language and not read and write, you would not know letters. All right, and because you never learned, you never go to school to learn letters. So for him to announce, to use letters, right, it actually is quite something that they know cannot be coming from him. Anyway, so it's 7. So he had the 7 series, and they're all coming one after another. So it might have been a wonder for the Arabs at that, for the Quraysh at that time, why so many surahs with Hamim? All right. Opinions on Hamim. We have gone through this, but we'll just revise and, inshallah, make us understand things better. Hamim is the name of the chapter. All right, all of them supposed to have the Hamim, but then you are given different names. Here it's called ahqaf. Right, ahqaf, which means the winding sand dunes. It is narrated by Ibn Abbas that Hamim is the greatest of divine names. So Hamim, although we know that it is not in the among the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Ibn Abbas says it is the greatest of divine names. The name alludes to the divine names beginning with Ha or Mim. So that's the opinion of some scholars. We've got this before. All right, let's just look again at the Ha. Ha can be Hamid, very praiseworthy, Halim, the clement, the forbearing, Hay, the living, Haqq, the truth, Hakim, the wise, and Hakam, actually, not Hakim again, Hakam, arbitrator, the protector, Hafiz, and the guardian, Hafiz. All right, so they say that Hafiz, the Zad. If it's a Hafiz, that one is the one who debases. So the Ha and the Wa. Then it's Ha, and Wa. All right, and then we go on to the Ha, and the Mim, Malik, Majid, you get Majid, and you get Majid, Mubdi, the beginner, right? Mu'id, the returner, or the one who repeats, right? Exalted, Mu'iz, and vigilant, Muhaimin. So strong names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all encompassed in Hamim. That's why it's one of the greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or according to Ibn Abbas, it is the greatest divine names. All right, it's also said that Hamim is an oath by divine clemency and sovereignty. Visually, I swear by my clemency and sovereignty that I shall not chastise those sincerely uttering there is no God but Allah. So this is another opinion of the use of the presence of the word Hamim here. So all the surahs have this opinion given. And some say that Ha and Mim are the 2 middle letters of Rahman, Rahama, and the name of Muhammad, alluding to the secret known by Allah Almighty and His friend Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they suggest that there's something secret, right, with Rahman and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there are other justifications for these 2 letters. However, since the letters of the alphabet in the openings of a number of Quranic chapters are, as it is well known in Islamic sources, among ambiguous verses, those whose knowledge is with Allah Almighty and those firmly rooted in knowledge. So it's mentioned, no one really knows. This is just suggestions, there's opinions, but in the reality only Allah knows, and those which call rasikhun fi ilm, they are rooted in knowledge. Allah has blessed them with some knowledge of this, and they do not divulge. All right, we continue with the next verse. All right, it's not supposed to be there. Sorry. This one not supposed to be there, and this one is the wise, mighty, the revelation of the book. All right, sorry about that. Didn't notice that. All right. So next verse. Tanzilul Kitab, the revelation of the book. Min Allah, from Allah, Al-Aziz, the mighty, Al-Hakim, the wise. Tanzilul, so we know Tanzilul Kitab here. Tanzil is actually, it's not a verb, all right? It is a noun. It's supposed to be Tanzilun, but this one is an off structure, so we see it as Tanzilu, right? And the Kitab, of course, we can take the Al of the Kitab to translate the revelation of the book. Al-Kitab is in its jar state, so that confirms that this is of structure. So the revelation of the book from Allah, min Allahi, min is sort of jar, so Allahi, and then Azizi and Hakimi also takes over the description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and both are jar states with reference to the min. Tanzilul kitabi min Allahil Azizil Hakim. Tanzilul revelation of the book, the revelation of the book from Allah. The fact that the surah also begins the same name and the same opening verses shows that both surahs have something in common. Sorry, with the previous surah. All right, so we had the previous surah with Jathiyah, and the first two verses are exactly the same, and the same opening verses as the previous surah. As Surah Jathiyah, let's put the previous surah. The previous surah, and then you see Surah Jathiyah. This shows that both surahs have something in common. All right, so it's just talking about the Quran, the revelation. So this revelation of the book, Allah sent the book from Allah, is from Allah. No one is to confirm that Rasulullah didn't. The book is definitely divine in nature. Tanzilum dul kitabi min Allah. Thus, the coming verses will reveal this commonality, and a summary will also come forth of all the previous Hamim surahs. So this is what we're going to expect of this surah. It's the last of the Sawamims, and it will eventually summarize all the Hamim surahs that we have gone through so far. This in itself is sufficient evidence to testify to the fact that the Quran is revealed from on high by Allah, the Almighty, the Wise. And so there's enough here to say that there is no doubt that this Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tanzilul kitabi, the revelation of the book from Allah. It also touches on the relationship between Allah's recited book and the book of the universe we behold and which He made. All right, what is the book of the universe? It is a study, a look at the universe. Inshallah, later on we'll come to that. Both books are made with the truth and according to careful planning. Al-Aziz al-Hakim. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlighted two names, Aziz and Hakim. Aziz is the Almighty. Right? Also, in the meaning of mighty, there's dignity, there is nobility, there is honor. Right? His might is not only just power, but with honor, dignity, and nobility. Engraved in this might. We have seen the meanings of these two words. Might is Al-Aziz is also the mighty one, and a few other meanings. Sorry, so we saw it. So it is the one who has nobility and dignity. And Hakim is, of course, all wise. The fact that the Quran is bestowed from on high by the Almighty testifies to His power and absolute wisdom. So, because it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as mentioned in the first part of the verse, Tanzilum min Rabbil, Tanzilul kitabil min Allah. Kitabi min Allah. All right, now Aziz is might. Now, might, the power. It doesn't have to be the might only. The Quran in itself is so powerful. It affects people a lot, and because Allah is powerful, so Allah has put power in the Quran, and there's lots of wisdom in the Quran, definitely. And Allah is all wise, and He has blessed us with His great book, the Quran. Allah informs that He has revealed the book to His slave and messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, we don't see it in the verse itself, but there is a reference to a revelation. It is already, as mentioned, 11 years of Rasulullah's mission in Mecca. And this revelation from Allah definitely refers to the Quran, and there is no doubt of it. Definitely, it is referring to the Quran, and when it refers to the Quran, and it refers to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He has revealed the book to His slave and messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam until the day of judgment. peace be upon him until the day of judgment. So that is a salawat on Rasulullah which extends to the day of judgment. Allah then describes himself as being of unimaginable glory, possessing ultimate wisdom in his statements and actions. So here, instead of using the word might, the Mufassirin actually use the word glory, right? Greatness, dignity, nobility, right? And ultimate wisdom in his statements and actions. So here is the statements of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is sent down by Allah, who is Aziz and Hakim. He is all wise in sending this book, right, to his slaves. Of course, initially to Rasulullah SAW, and he is almighty because he is able to do whatever he wants to do. And he honors people who embrace the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reiteration of Hamim, the revelation of this book, Hamim, Tanzilul Kitabi, right? So it's Hamim, Tanzil, is a series of recurring chapters, best testimony to the fact that fundamental and significant issues are to be reiterated. So here, this verse actually has occurred several times. So it bears to the fact that it's a testimony to the fact that fundamental and significant issues are to be reiterated. That means it's going to be repeated here, right? But in different forms, in different ways of looking at it. Divine glory, Izzah, is one of the attributes of Allah. His book, his messengers, and believers. So those who honor the book of Allah, who honor the message of Allah, right? Rasulullah SAW, of course, and the believers are those with honor. Izzah is honor. Divine creation is based on wisdom and truth. The fact that the Quran is from the spring head of divine omniscience, glory, omnipotence, and wisdom. It is a source of blessing, bounty, and grace. So it is from Allah. Allah is all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-wise. So the book itself is a source of blessing, bounty, and grace. So those who embrace the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are very special people because they understand the reality of a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they keep on reading. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, next week we are into Ramadan. And Ramadan is a month of the Quran. And we are eager to fill our times with readings, more reading the recitals of the Quran, inshallah, right? And embracing the Quran is very important. Learning the Quran is very important. And inshallah, we'll be blessed with lots of bounty and grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is illuminating and pondering on its leads one to, it is illuminating and pondering on it leads one to intellection. So it illuminates, it enlightens people. And so those who take time to ponder over the Quran, they will become those with great intellect. Show the word intellection exists or not. The revelation of the Quran is merely possible from omnipotent and all-wise God, lying beyond the limited human power. Right? As we look at the Quran, as we see the Quran, as mentioned, the Quran is a mu'jizat. A mu'jizat means a piece of, is anything that causes someone to become incapacitated. The word is mu'jizat. Ajaza means to be weakened, right? To be spellbound, that kind of thing. That you have no way to escape the truth of the Quran. So it's called a mu'jizat. Mu'jizat is not magic. Of course, magic. Some people say miracle. Mu'jizat is a miracle. Yeah, it's a miracle in some sense. But the real meaning of mu'jizat is that it causes people to be spellbound, right? That because of the greatness of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala till date, even if you don't understand Arabic, it has many people have converted, right, just by reading the translation of the Quran. That Allah gives power to in the translation. Of course, nothing as good as the original Quran in Arabic, because these are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we as Muslims are really blessed, right, to be able to be reciting the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. those who enjoy the words of listening and reciting the words of Allah and learning the message of Allah, they are very blessed people, full of bounties and goods. Ma khalaqna samawati wal arda. Ma is not. Ma can be what, can be not, but here we see it's not. Khalaqna, we created. We know this is fi'al madi, right? The na is the we at the end, referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Samawat, so the samawat is being created, so the samawat must be in nasab. As we know, the samawat is plural. The alif ta and the kasra can either be nasab or jar. Both nasab and jar has the same form in the plural of female entities. Ma khalaqna samawati wal arda. So here we see the arda being nasab, right? Because it is a thing that is being created. So not we created the skies and the earth. Wa ma, and what bainahuma, between them. Illa, except bil haqq, with the truth. Ajalim musamma, and a term appointed. Ajal is a term, musamma, appointed. Musamma comes from the samia, ismi, all comes from the same root word, right? It is named, right? A term named, that means it is already decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know it is going to happen, but we don't know when it's going to happen. Ma khalaqna samawati wal arda wa ma bainahuma illa bil haqqi wa ajalim musamma. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and those they disbelieved, there's a they there, just to put in a they to make it much more, to increase the understanding. And those, وَالَّذِينَ, of course we know this is jumla, ismiya. Jumla means sentence. Ismiya is noun, because it starts off with al-ladhina. Al-ladhina is a noun, it's an ism. Kafaru, they disbelieve, so it's emphasized. Waladina kafaru, amma, from what? Unziru, we know is passive. Happens u and e there, and it is fi'al madi. In fi'al madi, passive is u and e, but in fi'al mudari, passive is u and a. U, then you have a. Yes, unziru. Wow, alif is they were warned. Mu'aridun, those who turn back. So they are those who turn back, mu'ridun, because they were warned. Now mu'ridun is known as a naib fa'il, because it is the object of the warning, but they take up rafa still. And mu'ridun is rafa, the waw nun indicates that. Arada is to turn back, those who turned back. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا عَمَّا أُنذِرُوا مُعْرِضُونَ. We created all the heavens and the earth and all that is between them, except with the truth, and for a term appointed. But those who disbelieve turn away from that, whereof they are warned. All right, so Allah says, "Ma halaqna samawati wal arda wa ma bainahuma illa bil haqq." Not we created the skies and the earth and whatever is between the two, except with the truth. So Allah puts forth the concept or the belief and the knowledge that some have, that Allah created the skies and the earth and whatever is between for the truth, right? With the truth. Besides the book of compilation, Tadween deals with the book of creation, making mention of the glory and the truth of the heavens and the earth, saying, there is no single untrue word in this book, nor is there any unharmonious and untrue thing in the system of creation. So the book of Allah is true, and whatever He creates is also true. So we look at the skies and the earth, right? And we know we are in wonder at the creations of the skies and the earth. We are aware that Allah tells us there are 7 skies. Although we have not seen the 7 skies, we believe in the 7 skies. That's one of the conditions of a believer, is that he must believe in the unseen. The 7 skies is definitely the unseen. Although we have reports on Rasulullah going through the 7 skies and meeting prophets along the way. And they seem to have doors with angels guarding them. All right, so everything is in truth. The creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything is in truth. Everything is well calculated and stands in perfect harmony according to truth. Wa ajalim musamma, and a term appointed, or a term known. The world of creation is an end as it has a beginning. At this appointed time, so ajal, a term, that means the world, Allah has created the world, and there is a term to it. A time will come when the world will be just destroyed. So at this appointed time, the transient world will come to its end. Since this world is true and purposeful, there should naturally exist another world in which deeds be recompensed. So the world is true, and there's a reason for the creation of the world. Allah has created the world with a good reason. And the world in itself is just so amazing, with the varied myriad plants and animals and system in itself. It's nothing to deny the truthfulness of the world. All right, so here comes a conclusion. That because the world is true and purposeful, there should naturally exist another world in which deeds are to be recompensed. Therefore, the truthfulness of this world bears testimony to the existence of resurrection, or else it would have been vain and abounding in wrong and oppression. So if there is no a day of resurrection, then those who live in the world, right, and are always obsessed with themselves and doing wrong and oppressing others, then this world would be just a plaything. It's not possible. The word ajali musamma, that means a term appointed, implies that just as it is evident that this universe has a purpose, ajal is a term, an obvious consequence of its purposefulness is that it should exist till a certain time period and not go on forever. That one day a court of justice be set up at the end. Those who did pious deeds should then be rewarded, and those who did evil deeds should then be punished. So here it is possible that the question arises that reward and punishment are something very logical, but why is it necessary that the whole world will end after a certain time period? Is it not possible that this world continue to exist and those who die are continue to be rewarded or punished? So this is one of the questions, right, that might occur. Right? Why must there be the end of the world? Right? Although Allah has mentioned that it is a term appointed, that means they will only exist for a while. It will not be forever. Right? So it is a question by people. Right? Why should the world end? Why not just allow it to be existing and just punish those who are punish and reward those accordingly? Every deed of a person, whether it is a pious one or an evil one, has the ability in it to be contagious. What does that mean? Right, whatever people do, right, it can be contagious. It can be a good thing, and lots of people follow after you with all the good things that you have done, right? Or an evil one, and we see lots of people following after you, right, because of this evil that you have done. A person can also desist of piety such that for centuries, mankind is able to benefit it. Similarly, a person invents a wrong and misleading philosophy which engulfs numerous minds, and then with the passage of time, it becomes so firmly established that nation after nation expand their abilities and potentials to strengthen it, and it becomes virtually impossible to get rid of it. All right, so it's both ways. Good will go on, right, and evil also will go on. So ideas which engulf people, right? That people just go on adopting it and making it part of their life. So if it becomes firmly established, that nation after nation expand their abilities and potentials to strengthen it, it becomes virtually impossible to get rid of. Right? So they work hard because of they work hard to uphold the teachings. I mean, this is about the things which are evil, right? Those who see it will want to continue doing it also. In the light of this background, if it is needed that a person be given true information of his good and evil deeds, then it is essential that the remotest of effects, such philosophies be brought back, and any of the elements of nature will bear witness to that person's good and evil deeds to be presented in support. In the light of this background, if it is needed that a person has been given true information of his good and evil deeds, then it is essential that the reporters of effect such philosophies be brought forth, and any of the elements of nation will bear witness to that person's support and evil deeds. Without this, perfect justice cannot take place. So to have justice, you must have information of actions, right, and witnesses to the actions. Thus, it was deemed essential that this world end after a certain time, and Allah decides the fate of people in the court, in which all mankind is present. So much so, even if the testimony of the heavens and the earth is also required, all their records be furnished. So that is why we need a day of resurrection where all records will be collected. Everybody will be together to be present to witness, right, how Allah is going to judge. So of course, it can only be possible when the day of judgment is common to all. So that is why there is a need for day of judgment, a need for the whole world to be destroyed, so that there is this there is this repayment of actions. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا عَمَّا أُنذِرُوا مُعْرِضُونَ. As for those they disbelieve from whatever they were warned, they turn. Quranic verse they currently warn them of the great tribunal awaiting them. And on the other hand, the world of creation with certain orders of its warns the negligent that everything shall be reckoned. Nonetheless, it heed neither of the two in warnings. So here we have two warnings, right, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But these people have been warned, but they don't want to heed the warnings, they turn away. And the first warning is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Certain orders of it warns the negligent that shall be within them. The Quran keeps on warning them, reminding them that is a day of judgment. And it's the first thing that Rasulullah informed the people. If you remember, he was given the message when he was 40 years old, but he was not allowed to announce the message to the masses, only to his family members. He invited his family members to believe or to know that there is only one God. That was the message he gave, and that this world is going to end. Then when he was instructed to announce the message to the masses, he went up Jabal Qubais. Jabal Qubais is somewhere near Safar here. Right? And it is a post where people would climb up and make announcements. So Rasulullah called people and make announcement, and the announcement was that, right, that there is a next world. That is the first message given. Right? Understanding of the next world is very important, and there is resurrection, and it's accountability, and it is very important for people to want to be good and to avoid evil, because they are accountable for their actions. But they are turning away from it, despite the fact the Quran has many times reminded them of it, and brought forth scenarios of the next world, and also the world in itself, right, is enough. And the world of creation with certain orders of its warns the negligent that everything shall be reckoned. Nonetheless, they heed neither of the two in one. So there's two warnings: the Quran and the world itself. The present particle mu'ridun, all right, it's a present participle, it's a noun. It's mu'ridun, turning away, demonstrates that attending to the ayah versus signs of creation and compilation may enable one to comprehend the truth. So what it means is that, right, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before this mentioned about him being the creator of the skies and the earth, and also whatever in between, for us to actually ponder over the greatness of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to come to the conclusion that there is only one God. Right? There's only one God who creates this amazing, beautiful world of ours. Right? And also there is a next world. And everything is truth. There cannot be any false thing about the world, right? So it tells us they are given the truth and they turn away from the truth. Attending to the ayah of creation and compilation, we enable one to. But by doing that, by looking at the verse of Allah and the world itself, we will know that it is the truth. However, they turn away from truth, lest it may not affect their passions and lust. So the reason why they are turning away from the truth, despite the fact that truth is very clear, is because they fear what will happen to their desires. That they do lots of bad things in this world. Right? Look at the Quraysh, right? One of the bad things they do would be to cheat. They are businesses, and then they abuse women, they abuse slaves, and they do have they are very bad. They treat the orphans and the poor badly. So Islam, encourages all the good actions in the community, and also they bury alive young girls. It's an expression of sorrow on people who are adamant on denying the noble scripture revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mighty and the wise. It is said that despite the truth, despite being warned again and again, they are still insistent on turning away from the warnings. And the word warn is being used here. It is not a threat. A threat might not be carried out. This is a warning that is an impending danger. They were also insistent on evading that to inform them of which Allah had revealed in the scripture. So they don't want to know what is in the scripture. They turn away from the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The word amma unziru, from what they were warned, refer to the day of judgment. That is the main warning. The class is the day of judgment, that everyone will stand in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have that already at the beginning of the surah with our Fatiha. Right? Allah reminds us He is Rahim, He Rahman, He gives lots and without measure, and He doesn't stop giving even though people might be evil. Rahim, and He gives rewards to those who are obedient to Him, special mercies from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He becomes Maliki Yawmiddin, King of the Day of Judgment. So there is Day of Judgment right in front of the Quran as we have it now, Fatiha. All right, so they're being warned again and again, right? Day of Judgment, that Allah is God, they will meet Allah, He will be the King of the Day of Judgment, and they will be questioned and they will be repaid accordingly. Such is the nature of this reality that if it is not accepted, then the whole universe would seem a meaningless and purposeless place of entertainment. So if there is no day of judgment, there is no day of resurrection, right, then the creation of the world is for play, right? It is in vain. It is batil, not truth, not with the truth. The fact of the matter, on the other hand, is that the Almighty has created this universe with a purpose and objective. Allah not only is powerful, He is also wise. If the hereafter is not accepted as a reality, then after viewing this world, its creator can indeed be regarded as powerful. However, it will have to be considered that He has done a purposeless thing, even though this is against His apparent attributes. As this world reflects His power, it also reflects His wisdom. So as mentioned here, what it means is that as we look at the world, we can see the great might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, powers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the abilities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in creating this great, huge world, right? So it still proves that Allah is Almighty, Al-Aziz, but it doesn't, if there is no next world, then where is the wisdom of Allah in creating all these things? So it shows, because the world reflects the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the world cannot be created purposelessly. Both these attributes exist in Him simultaneously. So when attributes are mentioned without a particle of conjunction, the way they are here, then they exist simultaneously in the one they qualify. It means that here the surah, this is referring to the previous verse, right? That Allah is Aziz and Hakim. There's no N, so there's no wow. right? So there's no end. So it's just two attributes side by side. That makes it the two attributes must exist simultaneously in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the word imply that just as it is evident this universe has a purpose, an obvious consequence of its purposefulness, that it should exist till a certain time period. So we have that in the previous verse. Ajali musamma. Should exist to a certain time period and not go on forever, and that one day a court of justice be set up at the end. Those who did pious deeds should then be rewarded, and those who did evil deeds should then be punished. So this is the warning given to those people, and they turned away from this warning. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that there will be a day of resurrection. Here it is possible that the question, the root cause of the misguidance, all right, what's the root cause of misguidance as mentioned by the ulama? The root cause of misguidance of people is the assumption that death is not merely the end of worldly life, but a complete end in every respect. So they prefer to believe that there is no resurrection, that when we die, and that's it. Will just become bones and dust and whatever, and will not be resurrected. That is why they come up with questions on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How would these, they take bones and surayas, they take bones and they crumble the bones, right? And they say, who would create these? And of course, the reply in Surah Yasin is that the one who originates it will create it. Right? So there is no difficulty for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to recreate from dust and bones. The logical extension of that view is that this world has no purpose. So from that view that we're going to die and that's it, then what it means is that we are saying the world is created without purpose. So if it is created without purpose, then Allah cannot be wise. That is how it is linked here. It is just a meaningless pastime whereby it does not matter whatever kind of life people live, whether they live righteously or viciously, they all die the same with no further consequences. Such people are so preoccupied with making the most of this worldly life that they do not take anything seriously that is not going to benefit them in their current worldly plans. So it's all about this world. It's all about planning in this world and not thinking of the next world because they don't believe the next world exists. Even their religious beliefs revolve around their worldly expediencies. That is one major reason of their shirk, because they hope that their intercessors will get them what they want in this world. So they're having partners for Allah subhanahu. They pray to other gods, right? They went against Allah's sovereignty, right? Because they want good in this world only, as mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah. They ask Allah, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana. So that's what they are. They are people who just want good in this world. But we as Muslims, we say, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar. Ask Allah to protect us from the fire. We want good in this world and the next one. Even if they are not sure that intercessors can help, they still pay obeisance to them as a small premium for the expectation of the benefits they might get. So to them, it's necessary to have a God to turn to who would give them things. Right? Of course, in the case of the Quraysh, they were praying to the angels, the angels, considering them to be daughters of Allah, and angels has power to actually, or has the ability to intercede with them and get what they want. And the intercession, as mentioned, is not only in the next world, but in this world. For example, they believe that the angels can stop rain, any evil from happening to them, and would bring down rain for them, right, and make things good for them, because the angels are in charge of bringing down rain for people. So even a doubtful expectation serves as a motivator, while the severe punishment for the shirk in the hereafter is not a deterrent, because they do not believe in the hereafter. So although the Quran is replete, is full of warnings and warnings and warnings, they still turn away from the warnings, right? Because they don't want to believe. They do not believe in the hereafter. So it doesn't deter them from being evil. And they are warned about the hereafter. The way they think is that even if there is hereafter, the same intercessor should be able to protect them from Allah's anger. So in case this resurrection does happen, then we have our intercessors or gods who are the daughters of God, Allah, who would intercede for them and things will be good for them. So all other polities, that was the mindset of the Meccans. All right. Qul, say, Ara'aytum. Is a question. Do. Ra'aytum is fi'il madi. The tum at the end, you see. Ra'aya is to see. Ara'aytum ma tad'una. What you call or you supplicate doa here. The word doa. And then da'awa is to call. Ta and the waw nun here is you all. All right, referring to all of you. Tad'una min dunillah, besides Allah. What you call besides Allah. Aruni, show me. It's an instruction. Aruni. Aru is fi'al madi, show. Ni is me. Show me. Mada, what khalaqu, they created minal ard, of the earth. What they created of the earth. Qul ara'aytum ma tad'una min dunillahi aruni madha khalaqu minal ard. Or lahum, for them, shirkun, a partnership. Shirik is partnership, giving partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having polytheists, mushrik, right? Those who give partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fis samawat, in the skies, as mentioned, this is jar because fi is whole jar. Lahum shirkum fis samawati tuni. If you continue, you say samawati tuni. Or if you want to stop it, tuni, bring me. Tuni. Say samawat, you can stop there. Lahum shirkum fis samawat. Tuni bi kitabim min qabli. With a book from before. Min qabl. Min is sort of jar, so before. The ba here, bi kitabin, the ba is sort of jar, so kitabin also jar state. Hada, this. Lahum shirkum fis samawati tuni bi kitabim min qabli hada. Aw atharatin, or a trace, min ilm, of knowledge. Knowledge here. In kuntum sadiqin, if you were truthful ones. Plural here, sadiqin. If you were truthful ones, so this is in its nasab state. In kuntum sadiqin, if you were truthful ones. Aw atharatim min ilmin in kuntum sadiqin. All right. Say, Ara'aytum. Ara'aytum can be, do you look, do you ponder, do you consider what you have been calling on? Tad'una, present future tense, so we can see you were calling besides Allah. You were calling to, or tad'u can be dua, you were supplicating to besides Allah. So this is to highlight the fact that they are calling onto entities, all right, and not calling onto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah instructs Rasulullah to put before people the testimony of the book of the universe, as it admits no dispute and addresses human nature according to its own logic. Right? The world in itself is brought forth to make them understand that there's something that everybody knows and there's no dispute about it. So, do you see what you call? This verse brings forth the real reason of their evasion, since they rely on their alleged deities and intercessors. They do not pay heed to the warnings of the Quran. It's mentioned in the previous verse that they turn away from the Quran. So Allah asked Rasulullah to say, do you look at what you are calling besides Allah? In their opinion, in the very first place, the day of judgment is a mere threat, which is a bluff. And if there is some truth to it, these deities which they worship will save them from every danger. So that's their opinion. So they think, and so they believe that it's just it's a threat, not real truth. The Prophet ﷺ should ask these people if they have ever reflected on what they worship besides Allah, whether they have any reality or not, or whether they are mere products of their fancy. If they think that they have some reality, then they should show him. So, Aruni, show me. So say, show me what those or whatever that you call on besides Allah. Aruni, show me. Mada khalaqu min al-ard. First, Allah asked them to show, Rasulullah asked them to show him whatever they have prayed to besides Allah. So bring on your gods and whatever. Show me, I want to see. And show me what they created from the earth. If they created the earth on any part of his object, then they should show him the things they created. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to tell these people, you cannot just say things out of your own whims and fancies and just as and when you like. The way you like it, you must give me some proof, right? I need proof to substantiate. You need to give me proof to substantiate or claim, right, that these gods that you are praying to has a partnership with Allah. So the first thing that I need you to show me is that, show me something in this earth that they actually created. So again, going back to the earth, right? Look at the earth. Give me one thing. You are living on the earth. Maybe you can find something and claim that it is created by all these gods of yours. So they can only deserve to be called God if they have any role in the creation of the earth. So that's the definition of a God. A God is one who creates. So if you cannot find anything, so I'm asking you to show me anything that they have created. If they do not have any such role, then what is the meaning of regarding them to be partners of Allah, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth and all that is between them? So it's absurd. Your contention, their contention that these gods are partners with Allah, they are gods also. So being God, then they should have created, they should create. Right? So there is nothing to say here. There's no way we can claim that they are gods because they have no creative powers. How can he tolerate them to be the masters of the world he has created? So how can they be also the partner, be partners with him, be having the same status, same station at him as the God of the worlds? No one will ever say that such worship deities, be they statues made of stone, jinns, trees, jinns, angels, or any other, ever created any part of the earth or anything that lives on it. So we know, but everybody knows that none of these can be creating parts of the earth. Human nature would not accept anyone making such a suggestion that these gods can create part of the earth. Idolaters of Arabia regarded Allah to be the creator of everything. So this line of argument is not alien to them, right? Because they know for sure that Allah is the creator of everything. So Allah was their God and the God that created everything. Am lahum shirkum fis samawat, or for them a partnership in the skies. Do they have a partnership with Allah in all the skies? Right, that means they are aware of the invisibles. And on what reason did they regard it to be right to ascribe partners to his sovereignty and his rights without his permission? Right, so you want their partners to Allah's rights and our sovereignty, then it has to be with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the only creator. No human being can claim that any worship deity has ever had any share in the creation of the heavens, or that they own any share in them. So this is talking about the heavens. You move on from the sky to the heavens, right? So you can't find anything that they created in the heavens. Never mind, then explain why they are considered as partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the skies. A glance at the sky is sufficient to fill our hearts with a clear sense of the Creator's greatness and oneness, and to discard all deviant beliefs and absurdities. For sure, the heart is enough, the sky is enough for us to know, to believe that there is only one God. Allah, who beside the Quran from on high, knows the effect of contemplating the Quran on people's minds and hearts. Therefore, he directs us to look at the book of universe and listen to its message. What's the message here? You're calling on to these gods. Okay, you believe that they are gods. Fine. Then show me something which he create. These gods create. Can't find anything. Then show me, explain to me, right? Give proofs why you would consider them as partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the skies. And that means they are in control of the skies, they know what's in the skies and everything. Not even the thin membrane covering a dead speech. The dominion and control only belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How then would you worship others or join them as partners with him who guided you to that, who called you to that? Did he command you to do it? Or is it something that you suggested yourselves? How will you worship others or join them as partners with Allah who guided you? So can you allow yourself? Allah is here guiding, trying to guide you. He has given you this book to guide you. Who guided you to that, who called you to that, did he command you to do? All right, so he guided you to the one who called you. Allah is the one who called you. And he called you to do things that he commands you to do. Or is it something that you suggested yourselves, right? So you are here trying to find partner or give partnership to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the partnership is rather impossible, right? Saying that Allah has a partnership in the heavens, right? Then either if you feel Allah has the ability to guide and to guide people, then no, you are saying that Allah, these entities are partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but on what basis? And are you suggesting it yourself without any basis? U'tuni bi kitabim min qabli hada. Give me of a book from before this. So you first, I want you to prove. First, get something which your gods created from the earth. Then prove to me that Allah is that their gods are partners to Allah in the heavens. If these two you can't do, then I'm asking you to give me a book from before. Min qabli hada, before this. Right? So any book, if you claim, it doesn't have to be Tarot or Angel because these are Quraysh. Right? So if you claim this, then there must be something revealed to you that caused you to claim this. Okay. Right? Some people, however, make assertions that rely on neither proof nor evidence. So there's a reality. They don't seem to have proof, they don't seem to have evidence, and they just make false assertions. The Quran does not allow them much leeway in this respect. The Quran doesn't allow people to just say things without good reason. Instead, it requires that they provide evidence and proof in support of their claims and teaches them the method of proof, putting before them a complete system of consideration, reflection, and conclusion drawing. So you are taught, right, how to get proofs, all right, using consideration. You need to consider a few things, a few items, reflection, and then conclude. So you consider a certain situations, and then after you consider those situations, you're supposed to reflect on those situations and then make a conclusion. So that's how you can come to the fact that that your gods are partners with Allah in the heavens. Or traces of knowledge, or you have some kind of knowledge somewhere, right? And you know for sure that these are gods, are partners to gods, partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Atharatin refers to that part of the knowledge which is transmitted as a tradition, or that part of the knowledge which they obtain from earlier generations. So athara refers to the part of knowledge which is transmitted as a tradition. That means knowledge which is sure. You have it's knowledge. It's not just any suggestions or conclusions. So it's a tradition and it is passed on or a knowledge from earlier generations. So the verse says that if these people claim that Allah has partnered their deities, their gods, in governing his kingdom, that means Allah has taken their gods to govern his kingdom, then to prove the veracity of this claim, they should either present a book before this Quran or some tradition that is based on knowledge and not on fancy or conjecture. So this is how Allah pushes them to think. Right? Okay. These are the steps, right? So you can't do the first two, finding a creation done by them or a reason for them being partners. Then get a book that is before the Quran, that is divine, that you know. And what does the book say? Right, to prove your contention, and also any previous points that you know, but must be of true knowledge, That's whether Allah has a partner or not is an issue which can only be resolved through Allah's testimony. It means only Allah can say, I have a partner. Only He can tell if He has partnered anyone, and if He has, then it can be identified. That means it can be identified from the books of Allah, saying that He has a partner, He has partnered someone. The only way to know the testimony of Allah is the books revealed by Him, or the traditions and vestiges which have been faithfully transmitted to later generations. So there's only testimonies that there's a book, or traditions which confirm for sure, right? That is this. They have with knowledge that Allah has taken the partner. If there is something like this, that it would be brought forth, and merely on the basis of conjecture and speculation, people should not ruin their faith by building castles of fancy in their heads. So they should not live life, right, hoping for things which might not happen. In this case, hoping to be interceded by their gods. In kuntum sadiqin, if you were truthful. So these are the ways of you proving your truthfulness in your assertions. These are the various ways they can prove that they are truthful. All right, so are the various ways? First, prove that the gods that they have can create. Second, find ways and means to show that their gods have a partnership in the heavens. Third, bring a book that is divine. And fourth, bring forth knowledge, real, true knowledge, right, from your ancestors, that has been, or things that have been a tradition. All right. وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ, then who is more astray? أَضَلُّ. أَضَلُّ is more astray. This one is ism. It's comparative adjective, so it's ism. And who is more astray? أَضَلُّ. Mimman, then one. Mimman, then one. Yad'u, he supplicates. Min dunillah, besides Allah. Man la yastajibu lahu. Man is one, la is not. Yastajibu lahu. He responds from the word jawab. Jawaba is to reply, to answer, right? Yastajibu is, the ya is a he, so this is fi'al mudari and it is in the rafat state. He responds. Lahu, for him. Ila yawmil qiyamah. To the day of resurrection. So the response is until the day of resurrection. وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنْ يَدْعُو مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَهُمْ عَنْ دُعَائِهِمْ غَافِلُونَ. While they, about their supplication, their dua, غَافِلُونَ, those hearers. And who is further astray than those who, instead of Allah, pray unto such as hear not their prayer until the day of resurrection and are unconscious of their prayer. So this comes a question. A question from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man, who is more astray? So Allah described their situation, their condition as being the most astray of all. Then the one he calls on besides he supplicates right besides Allah, one that does not respond to him until the day of resurrection. So you know that your gods cannot respond to you, and yet you pray to your gods instead of praying to Allah. You know Allah can respond to you. So if you do such things, then Allah questions and say, who is more astray? So they are considered, Allah will say that it's a state of calling onto other gods, and Allah is a state of being terribly, terribly astray. وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنْ يَدْعُو مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. It's not about not Allah is telling that they are really astray because they call on something which cannot respond to them, even until the day of Qiyamah. No matter how long you wait, they wait until the day of Qiyamah, they would not be able to respond to it. This is an expression of sorrow on the situation of these 9 people. Who can be more unfortunate or farther in error than those who invoke and beseech others than Allah, who will never be able to respond to them until the day of judgment? So this is, you can see that Allah presents these various concepts, these various ideas very, very creatively, very beautifully, and it helps men to think of their state. Some of the disbelievers consider idols to be deities, either in themselves or as statues representing the angels. Others means they are gods in themselves. That means human beings which are considered as divine. Others worship trees, while others worship the angels directly, or even shaitan. So they do worship the angels, they do worship the shaitan, they worship trees, they worship planets, they worship all kinds of things, which are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and create nothing. And none of these so-called deities respond to this, those invoking them, or at least make a useful response. So they cannot respond because they are inanimate. How are they to respond to what they ask for? Statues and trees give no response whatsoever. Angels do not respond to anyone who associates partners with Allah, or the devil's response is only one of whispering and leading people astray. So of the things that they pray to, right, those which are inanimate will not be able to respond. Okay, the one that is not inanimate, the angels can respond, but they won't want to respond to such people who pray to them, right, and give partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The devils will respond, they whisper, and they lead people who far astray. وَهُمْ عَنْ دُعَائِهِمْ غَافِلُونَ, and they from their call غَافِلُونَ, heedless. On the other hand, the ones who are invoked are not even aware of this invocation. So they are ghafil. They are not, they are heedless of them, because some of them can't even hear. They are inanimate objects like trees and planets and sun and moon. How to hear when they cannot, they cannot tend to themselves. On the other hand, the one who's invoked are not even aware. They're not aware of this cause. Thereafter, these alleged deities will in fact turn out to be their enemies and will curse them, what to speak of helping. So they will not be there for them. Whatever they ask for will not be given. They will be enemies to them. The beings which the idolaters worship were either fictitious, so that question of being in form of invocations of the worshippers does not even rise. It's not even arise. Right? So because these gods are fictitious, so there's no way they can reply. They are unaware. As for those beings who have some reality, are the angels and the jinn, whom the idolaters of Arabia worship, or Jesus, whom the Christians worship, they could not be aware of any invocations to let them alone accept them. So they are non-animate, but still they are not aware, because they are not all encompassing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all al-muhit, all right? He knows every single thing. He is Sami', he is Basir, he knows, is Sami'ul Alim, he's all knowing. All these entities, even if they're angels, even they are jinns, they can't know everything. Only Allah knows everything. And every nook and corner, every single person who calls upon Allah, He knows what they ask for. But error is greater than one creature invoking another instead of Allah at any time and place. So that's it. That is why it's called, they are in the terrible error, right? Who is in more greater error than the one who who calls on something that cannot respond. Every creature does invoke, regardless of his identity and status, will not and cannot make any response to those who invoke it. It is Allah alone who does what he wants. Polytheism is not limited to the naive form practiced by the idolaters of old. Many are those associated with Allah, partners from among people who have power, influence, wealth, or position. They appeal to them for help. So this is looking at another set of partnership to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are aware that Allah holds sovereignty. That means Allah is the king. Allah is the one whom we should obey because he's our God. And sometimes people tend not to obey Allah because of their associations with men of power or influence, wealth, or position. So they appeal to these people for help. So that to honor these people at the expense of not honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a form of shirk, or giving partners to Allah, because they prefer to listen to these people instead of listening to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just we have this concept in Surah Taubah where the Jews are considered as worshippers, as polytheists, because they consider their monks and their rabbis word as infallible words. And they themselves are not able to give any significant response to their appeals. Sometimes as human beings, when you ask for something, they only give you if there is vested interest for them also. They're not giving you all the time, right? They don't have the power to give anything. None has any power to cause benefit or harm even to themselves. So that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah Yasin reminds people, the men who came running, right, when the three prophets were being abused by those people in the town. They say, what's the matter with me? What's the matter with me? That I worship, right? What is with me? Right? What's with me if I do not worship the one who created me? So his understanding is that the one who worshipped should be created, the one who creates. وما لي لا عبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه وما لي لا عبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. If any harm is to come to me, then none can stop it except him. That's what he says. All right. Appealing to them, placing hope in them, and fearing them are all forms of subtle idolatry, which is unfortunately practiced by many, even though they do not recognize it as such. All right. وَإِذَا حُشِرَ النَّاسُ وَإِذَا, and when. Hushira is passive. Again, the U and the E there. Was gathered. Annas, the people. So the people were gathered, as mentioned. Annas is a naib fa'il because it is the object of that is being gathered. But this is passive. So they take a rafa. وَإِذَا حُشِرَ النَّاسُ كَانُوا, they were lahum, for them, a'da, and enemies. And they were for them enemies. وَكَانُوا, and they were بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ, in their worship, him is their, بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ كَافِرُونَ, deniers. So Allah reminds us of the day, when, not only when, but recall the moment when men will be gathered. So now these are your gods. You claim they are gods, but you have nothing to substantiate or prove that they are gods. And on top of that, they cannot respond to your calls because they are heedless of your calls. And when then you all will be gathered, all mankind will be gathered, right? Then these gods, these so-called gods of yours, will become your enemies, right? That's the say لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. Not they be able to help you, to help right? But they will be an army against you. So these gods, right, will be denying them. Whatever has been regarded as their object of worship and support turned into their enemies on the day of resurrection. The day of resurrection, they want to get involved with all these people, right? Who claim that you are God because you don't want to be seen as God. You know, that you will be answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَانُوا بِعِبَادَاتِهِمْ كَافِرُونَ, and they were of their worship to them, right? Kafirun, deniers. They will deny of any form of worship to them. So Allah will gather them, right? But they will become enemies to them. They're not going to be those who will intercede for them or help them in any way. No way they can be helped. They will help them. Then on the day of resurrection, when all are gathered before the Rabb, all alleged deities disown their errant worshippers. We saw them in various scenarios, right, cited in the Quran in the next word. Even Shaitan will disown them as he says, I am free of you. I only encourage, I never force. You did it everything on your own free will. You decide to disobey Allah and obey me, such as Shaitan would tell them. In Surah Ma'idah, Allah will ask Isa alayhi on the day of judgment if he had taught people to worship him and his mother. He will reply that how could he have said such a thing which he had no right to say it, and that he had told them what Allah had asked him to, and what they did after his death was not known to him, and that only Allah knew. Says that Allah will ask him, ask Nabi Isa alayhi, did you ask them to worship you and your mother? Because there are some Christians who actually worship Maryam, right? And so Allah asked them that question, and they say, you will say, you know very well that I don't do that because I don't have the right to do it. I don't have the right to ask people to worship me. I'm not God. You are God, right? And after my death, whatever they do, I don't know. You know. He only conveyed what Allah asked him to convey. That's all. And Allah, you know it exactly what I did. So it's just to show people. Of course, Allah knows exactly what Nabi Isa did, and Nabi Isa has never ever asked anyone to worship him. But it is to show proofs in the next world that they have done lots of wrong, and Nabi Isa actually denounced their worship of him. It is evident from this that as far as the prophets and righteous are concerned, they will hold those people responsible who made them partners of Allah and worship them in absolute violation of the teachings of these prophets and the righteous. Now we know of prophets who are being taken as gods, Nabi Sith, right? Nabi Isa alayhi salam were prayed to, and they hope to gain benefits from him. Now, of course, religious people are also being worshipped also because of their goodness. They are seen as divine in many parts of the world. All right, and like the Chinese have got this ancestral worship, but they worship their ancestors. So it's all these possible ways of worship. And in the next world, all this worship will go against them. As for others, like the jinn and the devils will also worship. The details of the way they will acquit them from their followers, and these followers will curse them. Allah has told us of how the jinns will denounce their worship of them, and they will actually curse them. Right? And of course, the followers here also remember we have a story, the Quran, the hell scene where they will start blaming their their leaders, and the leaders will say, I never asked you to do this, you did it on your own, you were yourself criminals and things like that. So this is how they will fight against each other, and they will denounce each other. This evident from these details that they will be the greatest enemies of their worshippers, but to speak of bringing benefit to them. All right, let's recite everything. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ameen. تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز الحكيم ما خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إلا بالحق وأجل مسمى والذين كفروا عما أنذروا معرضون قل أرأيتم ما تدعون من دون الله aruni madha khalaqu min al-ard am lahum syirkum fis samawati u'tuni bi kitabim min qabli hadha aw atharatim min in kuntum sadiqin. Wa man adallu mimman yad'u min dunillahi man la yastajibu lahu ila yaumil qiyamah wa hum an du'aihim ghafilun. Wa idha husyiran nasu kanu lahum a'da'aw wa kanu bi ibadatihim kafirin. All right, we go on to the next set of words. Yufiduna. Field is actually to spread. The tufiduna, ta and the waw nun, you all spread. Tufiduna, and it's a fi'l mudari and it's rafa' state. Bid'ah. Bid'an, a new thing. That's bid'ah. They always have the bid'ah is something that's new, that is not originated by Rasulullah sallallahu. Bid'an. All right. Wa idha tutla alayhim, and when was recited, tutla is passive, tutla alayhim, on them, ayatuna, so the ayahs were recited on them, ayatu, right, ayatuna, our signs. Now the ayat was recited to them, so the ayat is female entity here, it is a two here, tutla was recited. Actually, it's not was, it is present, future, is. Because when you talk about it, it was recited, referring to the previous situation. But it is recited here, the ta referring to the ayah here. Then the ayah being female, so you have a ta female here. Wa idha tutla alayhim ayatuna. And ayat also takes the rafa because it is naib fa'il, and passive form of the passive word actually makes the one beside it the one beside it sorry, this is the second this is naib fa'il. It is the one that is being recited, so ayahs of Allah is being recited. Bayinat, clearly, bayinat means clear. Wa idha tutla alayhim ayatuna bayinat qala alladhina kafaru lil haqq, said those who disbelieve with the truth or in the truth, lil haqq, with the truth, haqq is the truth. Lamma, when ja'ahum, it came to them, hadha, this sihrun mubin, is a clear magic. When it came to them, this clear magic. All right. Wa idha tutla alayhim ayatuna bayyinatin. So Allah says, Allah recite, the ayahs of Allah were recited on them, and it is very clear. What did they say? Qala allazina kafaru lil haqq, said those who disbelieve about the truth. Lamma ja'ahum, after it came to them, hadha sihrun mubin, this is clear magic. So this verse refers to the various excuses which these idolaters would invent to run away from the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this is one of the reasons. When the very clear verses of the Quran relating to monotheism and the hereafter are recited before them, and they do not have any answer to them, they regard the Quran to be pure magic. So they say it's sihrun mubin, clear magic. But it's bayinat, it's very clear for them that this is the truth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and yet they consider it as clear magic. So what is that? When it's recited onto them, the ayahs, our ayahs with the truth, she doesn't want to see the disciple doesn't want to see the truth. They just say that they say about the truth is that when it came to them, so it came to them and still they consider it as magic. When the leaders of Quraysh were left with no option but to accept and acknowledge the potent influence of the Quran They tried to convince their masses that though this Quran is very powerful and moving, yet this is no way a reason to regard it to be divine. On the contrary, it's actually magic. So it fascinates people because it's magic, because the jinn taught him, right? So that is why it is very captivating. Anyway, also he's very charismatic also, so that's where the magic comes from. The words lamma ja'ahum after lil haq are meant to express condemnation. It came to them, the truth came to them, and yet they don't want to accept it, and yet they call it magic. So yes, they regarded this truth to be magic when it came to them. It is not improbable that a person be deceived of the truth as long as it does not make itself plain before him. The truth has come and it has made itself clear. There is no way they can denounce it, and yet they don't want to accept it. They want to turn away from it. They need to find a way to denounce it, and they call it magic. That's all I'm saying here. However, once it becomes evident, not only those people make such excuses, want to live in deception and want to lead others to deception as well. This is what Allah is pointing out in this verse, that this state of affairs, they knew the verse was recited to them with the truth, and when it came to them with the truth, but yet they decide to denounce it. Why? Because they don't want to live life of nobility, life of honor and dignity. They want to be deceived. They want to appease their desires and their passions. And those who want to appease their desires and passion usually do not want others to be good. Also, they would find ways and means to engage the others in making them live life obsessed or life as slaves of their desires. Right? So this is the reality of what it is, and Allah is putting forth this situation that was prevalent among the people of the Quraysh. It's not that the book is not good, it's not that the book is not true. The book has been put forth as one of the best books, right? And yet they denounced the book. The surah, sorry, not Sarah. The surah first rebuke rebukes them for the reception they give to Allah's revelation when it is given in all clarity, free of ambiguity, leaving no room for doubt. Besides, it presents the indisputable truth. Yet they describe the revelation as clear magic. Definitely, truth is vastly different from sorcery. The two cannot be confused or viewed in the same way. So those intelligent ones, they knew that this is truth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the surah begins its discussion by refuting their ridiculous claims. So the second part, we're going to refute their ridiculous claims. So Rasulullah once he met the friend of a Sahaba, a friend of Khalid ibn Walid, and asked him about Khalid ibn Walid and how's Khalid. And the friend said, "Oh, it's fine. This is after the Badr war, the Uhud war." And Rasulullah said, "Khalid is a very intelligent person. He should see the Quran as truth, the message as true, and should be able to accept the truth." So when the friend conveyed this to Khalid ibn Walid, he became Muslim because he knew for sure that there's nothing but the truth in the Quran. All right, we'll stop here. Allahumma arhamna bil Quran waj'alhu lana imaman wa nuran wa hudan wa rahmah. Allahumma zakkirna minhu ma nasina wa 'allimna minhu ma jahilna warzuqna tilawatahu ana al-layli wa atraf an-nahar واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين اللهم أستودعك ما علمتني فردده إلي وقت حاجتي إليه فلا تنسينيه يا رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا ربي علمنا الذي ينفعنا ربي فقهنا وفقه أهلنا وقرابات لنا في ديننا مع أهل القدر أنثى وذكر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم العصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلى الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. صلى الله عليه وسلم. آمين.